I'm trying to kill my parents.
What's your name?
Xana.
Xana, do you live here?
Yes.
He said that Noah was in an accident.
Officer John O'Keefe, who was off duty, was found dead on Fairview Road yesterday morning.
She was stabbed at least 11 times in her head, her neck, and her throat.
Who does live here? Mr. Place?
Yeah.
Normal kid who killed your parents.
We actually don't have like crosswalks.
Kitchen's a bloody mess. She's not breathing.
Why is the kitchen a bloody mess?
I don't know.
The 4chan post is a little hard to read if you don't speak doofus.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. The 4-day party turned into something awful.
There's been a major break in the Amber Spradlin murder cover-up.
The student president of the fraternity told us that they got word from National to instruct all of their members to delete all their social media.
No jury is going to convict me.
Chris Watts.
Was he a homosexual at 6? Did he make Daddy do it? Is it all his fault?
We know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
I tried my hardest to stop the bleeding.
This was my client's boyfriend, somebody with whom she was in love.
Stabbed him lightly in the back just to get him off. That she had to remember the bad times.
His father was massaging his dick.
You've never been in a fight?
No.
They cut him wide open, his whole stomach's open.
It's just the internet, relax.
Do you know what tears look
I
like?
do not think that having an affair is a motive to murder someone.
Karen Reed is 1,000% guilty.
I didn't magically get powers to remember things from the past. If you have anything that you want to tell us.
I do not believe any jury will ever convict Eric Menendez of first-degree murder.
Falling from a moving vehicle as a pedestrian, maybe being pushed out. It could also arise from an attack.
Are you the killer?
No.
That's a cop killer right there.
I was saving body parts such as
He said-
skulls.
John's dead.
Top of his hair was scraped off his head.
And she said, Google hypothermia, Google how long it takes to die in the cold.
Surprised he doesn't just take out a rifle in the courtroom and shoot him.
I hit him. Oh my God.
All of a sudden I'm kidnapped and something's gonna happen to me.
Constant phone calls.
Seriously, what do you want with me?
Did you ever say I hit him? I hit him.
I did not. I said I hit him
It was several times.
because he's dead.
Karen, we saw you outside of my sister's.
Did you murder your wife?
No. I just thought.
We couldn't leave the house without people taking pictures of us.
Just like a lot of harassment.
Well, then go to the cops, for Christ's sake.
I know it has to be eating them up inside.
Can you handle the truth? Yeah, so Richard Greene finally responded. I was thinking that he was refusing to testify, that they wouldn't want to have him come back. And so I didn't fully read the whole filing yet. But let's remember exactly what we're talking about here.
I'm afraid John might be dead. He might have gotten hit by a plow.
He didn't look mortally wounded as far as I could see, but could I have done something that knocked him out and in drunkenness and in the cold didn't come to again?
The injuries to Mr. O'Keefe were primarily on the right side of his body, correct?
Correct.
Said, Dad, I think I struck something.
There was bruising to his right hand, do you recall that?
Yes.
If I enlarge that, it kind of looks like a paw print bruise to me. I mean, tell me if I'm crazy, and I don't know if it's possible to bruise post-mortem.
No, it's not.
Exactly like a dog print.
So there were injuries to his right arm and forearm, elbow area, correct?
Correct.
Those are clearly lacerations, not abrasions. We all know what an abrasion looks like. It's insulting to us to suggest that those are abrasions.
Would you describe the injuries to Officer O'Keefe's right forearm as lacerations or abrasions?
Those are abrasions.
Those are abrasions?
Yeah.
Glass from this broken taillight could cause linear abrasions.
That probably, yes, I agree.
Okay.
I remember there was one piece of metal sort of sticking out.
If they are trying to claim that Officer O'Keefe was run over by this car, there would be evidence of that on his clothing.
Shards of that broken taillight were littered in his sweaters.
I did not know that.
When's the first time you learned of that?
Right now.
She said, what about my taillight? What about my taillight? And I looked, And there was a piece missing.
Called my father. He didn't answer, and I texted him, John is dead.
I remember, all right, backing up and hitting something.
You told me you don't remember anything from last night. She said, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? And I said, no, I don't think you hit him. I think you probably hit something.
There was an abrasion to the outside or the posterior of his right leg near his knee. Do you recall that?
I don't know that I recall that off the top of my head.
And do you recall sort of the skull fracture or the laceration immediately outside of the skull fracture was on sort of the right back of his head?
Yes.
Very few experts in this area in the country.
Yes, it's called the Franken truck.
What
It's in my head. I didn't write it down. I don't know. So the list, there was a list that I went through in my head.
You have no certifications in regard to Cellbrite as a tool and how to use it, those kind of things?
That's correct, sir. I can't tell you that. I am colorblind.
No, I didn't have that.
That the defendant's vehicle was being operated in reverse.
The objection sustained. Next question.
If I've caused you any distress, I apologize.
I went through various scenarios in my head.
That body wasn't hit by my car.
That's not what you said in your affidavit that was actually filed under pains and penalties of perjury with this court, correct?
Yes, and on that day, that is what my true and proper belief was.
It's how I'm trained.
Have you shown any text stream data, Toyota text stream data from the defendant's vehicle?
No.
How do you know where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found? At any point in time, did you see Mr. O'Keefe's body on the front lawn?
No.
So how do you know where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found?
Through police reports, police interviews, stuff that was posted on the media.
So you've seen police reports in the media?
Well, not the police reports, I'm sorry, but what was said during on the news.
Are you aware that Cellbrite has had to modify their software based on misinterpretation of data, as you've done in this case?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I
don't recall. I don't recall.
I didn't have that.
Yeah, so lots of things, lots of possibilities. And I've been watching, I have not gotten through the whole thing, but I was watching the live that Brother Counsel did with, I've been watching a couple of his things, because at first I thought he was going to be a normal person, but he's not at all. He's someone that is openly lying. He's basically, you know, trying to come off as like, oh, I'm this like very put together, very level-headed person, and I am just stating the facts. But he lied several times, and I was recording him because I'm gonna make a video about it, because he's just blatantly lying and gaslighting people on his show. You know, like saying that like the ARCA experts are like the end all be all. That's insane. It's an expert opinion. It is literally an opinion. Every single trial has expert opinions. And the fact that he's like, oh, they went through every single scenario. No, they didn't. Like, think about it. If you were going to test a scenario, they didn't even test what they should have tested. But for instance, if someone fell down a flight of stairs, and I'm watching the staircase, and that's probably why I'm thinking of this as an example, but if someone falls down a flight of stairs and they hired ARCA to say, all right, can you tell us if these injuries match someone falling down the stairs? If they throw a dummy down the stairs 1,000 times, every single time, it's going to have different injuries. So how in the hell can you just test what they tested, which was not even a proper scenario? They ignored part of the goddamn damage on the car. They ignored half of John O'Keefe's injuries and just focused on one piece of the puzzle. So if you throw a dummy down the stairs and, you know, the person had a fractured skull and a broken arm, and that dummy didn't present a broken arm, does that mean that they didn't fall down the stairs? Of course not. So it's really ridiculous. He's going so hard for that, and I feel like that's probably because that's the best thing Karen Reed has. All of our other experts, thank you. All of our other experts really, really were awful. I mean, they were the best experts that she had, and they didn't have most of the evidence. Brother counsel saying, "Oh, well, what does the text stream matter? Why does that matter? Oh, Trooper Paul's report, that doesn't matter." They're literally saying the science doesn't support it, but at the same time, they don't have anything to even. Their hypothesis was garbage. First of all, in any kind of experiment, you have to hypothesize and see if your hypothesis is true, right? So they tested a head form hitting the taillight, and they said, "Oh, that made too much damage, so that's out." But they ignored the dent on the tailgate. So if his head hit the taillight, what hit the tailgate? They just ignored that part. And then their second test was they shot a glass at the taillight with a cannon to see if it would break, and it broke. But they're still ignoring the dent on the tailgate, which is an exact arm length away from that taillight. So it's like the most obvious thing they didn't test. So it's like kind of like a straw man argument. They kind of created a scenario where they could say, okay, well, this proved that the damage was too great. So I can conclude that it's not consistent. And that's what you would do if you threw a dummy down the stairs and you were like, oh, nope, the injuries do not match. Even though they're going to hit different stairs and hit different things and break different things every single time they fall down those stairs. And that's what they did. And it's actually laughable when you hear people like Brother Counsel try to act like he's God on that subject. Like, oh, I'm just so calm and that's just reasonable doubt. No, it's not. It's not reasonable doubt. They didn't even hypothesize correctly. So I don't know what this means. Did we still have photos of Estee before they transitioned? Photos when she was Andrew Ashe? I don't know who this is. I'm out of the loop on some of this trauma. I'm wondering where all the money's going to too. I think it's probably going to the lawyers. I mean, she does have a lot of lawyers, but we saw like the pay for Yannetti and Jackson was like $300K or something around there, if I remember correctly. But that was before even going to trial. I think when they go to trial, it's a lot more. So, I mean, I think it's all going to attorneys because she cannot find any good experts. So the whole Richard Greene thing. Let's look at these files. How do I do that? Share screen. I don't know if it's going to be big enough. Let's see. And I will try to come up with a different. Is that too small? I wish I could zoom in somehow. All right. So the first thing that I looked at on here is, now I don't have a problem with community college, but Jackson certainly did. Jackson belittled Nick Carino for not having any degrees in any kind of forensics. He belittled Trooper Paul for only having a community college degree. And what do you know? What does Richard Greene have? Let's see. So he has experience. He has testified in a bunch of trials. He was a key speaker at some midwinter conference 15 years ago. I mean, I guess that makes you an expert. So St. Petersburg College, like I love St. Pete, but St. Pete Community College is a small college. Like in that same town, you have USF St. Pete, which is a university, which is, if you were going to get a certificate, that's where you should go. Unless it's like community colleges in general, a certificate from there is just to get, people in the door somewhere. It's not a level of certification where you can go out into the world. And so, yes, it checks some boxes, but these are all, it's an associate's degree, right? In digital forensics. An associate's degree is mostly like your basics. It's like your English, your math. And I went to community college to start. I went elsewhere afterwards, but community college is like the basics. Like you're not getting, the professors aren't that great. They don't even have to have, I think they only have to have a bachelor's degree to teach. So it's not like, I mean, just the way that Jackson approached the other people that had an associate's degree. I mean, come on now. Now, so he goes on to say, okay, he has a license. Wow, great. These trainings, though, this was the funniest part of all. This is the best part of it all. So the trainings. So training by Celebrate, unveiling Celebrate insights. These are just webinars that anybody can take. So I just put my name in, put everything in, and watch now. And that's all you get to do. So these aren't anything official. He could have hired a secretary to put his name in and just run through these and watch them. Who knows if he watched all this stuff? It's such a joke. So, I mean, he obviously didn't know shit about Celebrate. We saw him on the stand. He did not know what the hell he was talking about. So if I go, so all of these are similar. So like if you go to any software website, they always have webinars because they're trying to sell their software. They're trying to help people use it, and they're usually free, but they usually want you to register, and that's all it is. But most software companies have a ton of free webinars because they want their software to be used more and more and more. I mean, that's their goal. It's not to charge money for the webinar. So all of this like training, like who knows? It looks like he just went to their website and read down the list of webinars that are available and put this on here, which is actually hilarious. It's really, really amusing. Look at AAA, BBB. That is not even how you number things. Like, who wrote this? It would not be double letters. He's weird. He's weird, all right? He's weird. Like, you can tell he only went to community college. All right, so then, I know I'm reading it from this, but free can read people. All right, so the how long to die in cold. Oh my God, we're still talking about this. So I don't know if anyone has read this or where the juice of it is, because I just see that, I know he's doubling down on it. Like, that's the gist of it that I get. I don't expect much to be on here. He's just going to double down. Motion. So instead, the Commonwealth's entire motion merely addresses the conclusions and opinions of Mr. Greene. Matters that courts resoundingly state are the subjects for cross-examination and the jury, not the narrow function of the Dover-Lanigan judicial gatekeeper. Moreover, as the opposition clearly demonstrate, Mr. Greene is eminently qualified in his methodology pertaining to the subject matter of the instant motion is reliable. So that's all that I think that's like their main subject, is that he's qualified, right? And it's true. You can, I mean, I guess he's qualified. I mean, it looks to me like I could go get qualified to, I mean, I wouldn't have the experience, but I mean, it's just, I can watch a bunch of webinars and get a couple certifications from the community college down the street. Like, it's whatever, I guess if that's the standard. But I can see that Hank Brennan maybe wants to get him on the stand and rip into him, like he did with the dog bite lady. Who knows? I don't know how he's going to defend it, though, because the software has been updated. That timestamp is what it is, and there's no two ways about it. So the motion of the Commonwealth to exclude the trial testimony of Richard Greene is just the latest in the Gatling gun dystopian approach of the Commonwealth to deny Ms. Reed the ability to present her defense through well-credentialed, methodologically reliable expert witnesses, so she can have a fair trial against the baseless charges lodged against her. Give me a goddamn break. I mean, the whole hose long to die in cold thing is such BS. I just can't even believe that they got him to sign this, because I would think he'd be running for the hills at this point. I don't think Greene is coming Friday. So what is the Friday schedule? I know there's something on the schedule, but what should it be for? Is it for this? It's gonna be all about the Higgins video. I haven't watched anything. I've seen things pop up on what people's interpretation of that is, but I don't even understand how that's even related to the case, how it's exculpatory, how it's any of that. I mean, come on. Richard Greene lied to the police for nothing. Why wouldn't he lie to the court for a paycheck? Of course. Oh, I did see that. The fake, what did he do? A fake crime or something was committed? I mean, I live close to this guy, so I could run into him one day. That would be hilarious. I could question him about Celebrate. What do you think he'd tell me? I think he would. He was not even like, even as a witness, you could tell that he did not believe what he was saying. He knew that he messed up. He knew that it was BS. Does Jennifer Altman look more like today's Vince Neil or today's Axl Rose? I don't know. I don't know. The crowd can weigh in. Oh, the hearing for the search with Greene starts 9 a.m. on Friday. Oh, that's going to be a good one. You see, Higgins picked his nose on camera. That's him signaling to Free Henry to dig deeper to prove that Colin bit John. I mean, is Colin still in play? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I know Judge Janine was doing something tonight. Did anyone watch that? Or did it not happen yet? Someone texted me about it. I mean, I kind of assume that she's most likely going to take the side of law enforcement since she's a judge, but you never know. But I saw like Turtle Boy trying to like prepare everyone. He's like, just so you know, she's a right winger, so she's probably going to be on the side of the back of the blue. I believe that. He was given opportunities to come clean and didn't. His professional history is a mess, a ton of dissolved LLCs, and filed for bankruptcy twice. He's a lying, ignorant drunk. We should hire him. I mean, obviously he's going to say what you want him to say. I think they traded Colin for Higgins. So I did kind of wonder why during the trial they didn't do much with Higgins, but the reason is because you can't, Higgins is not interrelated with all these people. So if Higgins got into a fight with him, all these people wouldn't be covering up for him. I mean, nobody's going to be covering up for a fight that got out of control in the first place. But especially some guy that doesn't even know anybody. It doesn't make any sense. So I don't even understand like what Higgins and Jen McCabe are in on, like, or were they sending bat signals into the sky and she's Googling how long to die in snow and she was like throwing it up in the air like a bat signal? Like, this does not make sense. So Greene risks going to jail for perjury for lying in court. And attorneys can get in trouble for it as well. Yeah, I mean, he clearly said, so he was wrong. He did it on the stand last time. I was wrong about the how long to digest food. So they're going to bring that stuff up again. That's why it's like so fishy to even use him again from an outside observer perspective, because there's so much like crap that he got wrong in the first time around. They couldn't find someone else. Like, if it's really true, they couldn't find someone else to say it. They know it's not true. They know it's a lie. Like, this whole case has like exposed me to realizing how shitty people are. Like, all these law tubers, people that are just like willing to jump on the bandwagon with, even though something makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. I mean, I think that people outside of, I mean, the true crime community, I think, loves conspiracies. I think it's I'm not even a true crimer. Like before, the Idaho 4 was the first case I ever talked about. And I only talked about that case because there was so much misinformation going around blaming innocent kids, roommates, and I was like paying close attention to what the actual facts were. So I was like trying to like keep things. I don't know. I was just reading a lot, so I felt like I should share it because there was so much BS going around. But like true crime is just so dark. The people that are into it, some people that are into it are kind of like, I don't know. I don't find it entertaining at all. Like it's kind of miserable. Like for me personally, like I don't like it. Like I like critical thinking. I like finding truth, but these crimes and like thinking about what these people were thinking, what goes on in these people's heads, it's disturbing. Jen McCabe is definitely a witch. I mean, how else? How else did she get Karen to say all these things? Yeah, I mean, I think that we should. Oh, we have to talk in private, but we should. I was thinking about before, like getting his input on something. Like we were going to hire him and just see what he would say, and then start questioning him, or try to like run into him at Starbucks. And I don't know, like, how does he not feel bad? Like, does he not pay attention to what's going on? Like, he literally started the whole hate train on Jen McCabe and ruined her life. And for what? Because he was going to get a few bucks by putting out this affidavit. Like, it's so gross. Oh, all the Colin was in the house schizo posting has ceased. I still see it every once in a while, but it's like, I mean, I still see so many debunked things, and it's like they're responding to like Aiden, and it's like, oh well, ask Judge Janine. I think it was today. They're like, ask Judge Janine if she thinks it's normal that nobody ever knocked on the door or went in the house. I'm like, these people feel so strongly about this was a cover up, but they didn't even watch the trial. Like, it's just so deranged. And that's why people like come on my page and start telling me I'm lying. And it's because they didn't watch anything. They're listening to Turtle Boy, who literally lies about everything. I don't even know if he knows that he's lying or if he's just like really dumb. Because if you're following this case so closely, like he's literally going to jail over this case, and it's going to happen. He's going to, but he doesn't even know that her blood was taken to check her blood alcohol level. Like, how does he not know that? Or is he just lying? Like, it's so bizarre. Like, he didn't know. There's just so many things. Like, if you go back and look at his posts, it's like everything is a lie. Like, literally everything is a lie. And his people are just so stupid that they don't check and they don't know. I don't understand. Like, I was reading one of his things today. I should pull it up. It was like that 50 things you have to ignore, and every single thing was a lie to ignore about Karen Reed or something like that. His site sucks because it's always like, no, I definitely don't want YouTube. All right, so this 50 things you must ignore in order to believe that Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe. Okay. No interviews conducted by Michael Proctor or other members of the state police were recorded or done. Let me see. Can you guys hear me? I just got like an error message that there's something with the microphone. Okay, sound is still good. So, no interviews conducted by Michael Proctor or other members of the state police were recorded or done at a police station as protocol requires. So, I don't know what protocol requires, but I know for a fact that Massachusetts is not one of the states that records interviews. I've watched many cases, and this, I mean, I wish that they were, because Karen would have been on recording saying these lies. But a lot of cases, you know, it depends on the state. And if they were done at the police station, I don't think that they would do these at a police station during a state of emergency. Like, they don't want people on the road. They're not going to have people coming to a police station during a blizzard. So that is a lie. No one besides Karen Reed was ever considered or treated as a suspect, despite the fact that she has no criminal record, no history of violence, and is a well-respected member of the community. That's debatable. No one was ever considered or treated as a suspect. I mean, I think we'd have to look at other hit-and-run cases and explore if there were multiple cars that they looked at. Most of the time, no. The pieces of her car were on him. Like, why would you be looking at anybody else? The Commonwealth story is that a vehicle going 5 miles per hour in reverse killed 6'2", 217-pound man, causing multiple skull fractures and lacerations to his arm, despite the fact he landed on grass and snow. 5 miles per hour in reverse, that's funny. I mean, I think he's getting that from because Karen, and he didn't even know, the first time that I discussed this case with him, he didn't even know that Karen's the one that started saying the three-point turn at first. And, you know, it wasn't anybody else, it was her. She's the one that said it, because she had to come up with a reason to be in reverse. There was no accident reconstruction report. We know that's not true in Trooper Paul's report. And whether, I don't think he did a great job on cross-examination. I'm not sharing the right screen. Hold on. So there was no accident reconstruction report. We know that's a lie. Trooper Paul's report was thorough. It had, you know, measurements. It had all the pieces. And, you know, brother counsel is trying to say, like, oh, who needs that report? You need it if you want to talk about science. You need the text stream if you want to talk about science. You can't calculate anything without measurements, you whack job. John O'Keefe's body had to have been struck with enough force to have flown 12 feet in the air in order to land 12 feet from the curb. I mean, that's not hard. Like, we see people getting hit by cars all the time, and the car wins, the car moves the body. A lot of the time, that doesn't damage the car. I think the difference in this case is that he is a solid guy, and it just, those taillights are different because they stick out. Most taillights are kind of protected because they're flush with the car, but the Lexus taillights stick out. I think they're probably going to change them after this. And, you know, he had a glass in his hand. It could have hit his elbow. Like, we don't know the details. See, I agree with that too. Like, because what Trooper Paul said is generally what I've thought all along. I just don't think he was able to speak about it as well as they needed somebody to. Yeah, I think I think there's just so many different patterns that could have happened, but I think that the car hit his whole body, so he was hit mostly on the arm. That was the first impact, but his whole body moved and just like threw him, and that's it. She just heard a snap, crackle, and she left. So she just thought it was a clip. So the Commonwealth has not come up with a theory for how John O'Keefe died or how he got lacerations on his right arm. They simply blamed it on blunt force trauma from being rear-ended. Okay. I mean, the Commonwealth isn't obligated to put out their theories prior to the trial. You know, I think a lot of it you keep close to the vest so that they trap themselves, which I think Lally did a good job about that. No one ever interviewed the man who plowed 34 Fairview Road that night to see if he saw a body lying in the snow. So the whole Lucky Loughran thing, I don't believe him because even his story, like even if you believe parts of it, he says that he went down Fairview and then on his way back up Fairview, he was stopped because the plows were there, and that's not true. It's not true because we see the plow on the camera and it's not going down the street. It's like going across Cedar Crest. So and if he did go down Fairview, he would have seen the women there trying to resuscitate John O'Keefe. And he didn't even see that. So I don't even think he knows what the hell he's talking about at all. He doesn't even know when he hit the basketball hoop, but he knows at a specific time when he saw a specific car when he's like driving by 1,000 houses that night. It's just such a joke. The Commonwealth is withholding several pieces of evidence, including DNA from John's body. That exculpates Karen Reed, which they have been ordered by the court several times to give to the defense. I mean, what are you talking about? I know they were trying to get DNA testing done, yada, yada, yada. I mean, maybe that's what he's talking about. If Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe, then she knew that the angry voicemail she left him would be used against her as evidence. She didn't know that she killed him. She thought she clipped him. So her messages, I think the first one is rage. The second one, the butt dial. You know, Karen Reed's allowed to do butt dials, but the rest of us can't. So I think that one is when she's seeing the damage on her car. And then the next voicemail is her saying, John, nobody knows where you are. And that's when she called her parents, and that's when she texted them, I'm going back to Mansfield. And that's when she started to realize that there was something wrong. So that I mean, clearly those are the messages. And like, I think Turtle Boy, when he wrote this, didn't know what the content of those messages were. He just knew that there was one voicemail that said, I hate you. He did not know that a few seconds later, she's going to be like, oh, where are you? Every single person who claims Karen Reed said, I hit him is directly related to the Alberts or the McCabe families. Now, that's not true because there were several first responders, several medics that stated that, and people in the cult continue to say it was Jen McCabe and McLaughlin, and that's it. Nobody else. And they were both debunked at trial. Like, these people are like the dumbest people I've ever had to deal with. No one saw or heard a man being hit with such force that it knocked him to the ground, nor did anyone hear him calling for help. All right, we know he wasn't calling for help. We know that he was knocked out almost right away. And what kind of sounds do you think like a body hitting a car would make? Like we saw those car accidents in the opening video. Like it makes like a thud. That's about it. The taillight braking would have been like a pop. That's it. John O'Keefe's body had no bruising, cuts, or broken bones on his abdomen, legs, midsection, or left arm. Injuries are exclusive to his head and right arm. Well, he didn't know about the abrasion on his right knee, which lines up with the bumper. So the bumper, the taillight, and the spoiler all kind of stick out. And I don't know if the spoiler hit his head, could have. Or he could have hit his head on the ground. Like, I don't know. There's infinite possibilities, as Arca clearly said. Jen McCabe claims not to have seen a 217-pound body laying in plain view, illuminated by snow and obstructed by nothing, at 6:03 a.m. while riding in the front seat of a car and specifically looking for a body. It's funny how he targets Jen McCabe, because it wasn't just Jen McCabe. It was Kerry Roberts didn't see it. The first responders didn't see him. Multiple first responders said they couldn't see him until they got out of the truck and stood by him. Or they saw the women on the ground, but they didn't see him. So, lie, and this is just all to target Jen McCabe. This is Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, Julie Engel, Colin Albert, whoever drove Colin Albert home. Well, Allie McCabe, Brian Higgins. Well, Colin Albert was already gone, so. And whoever else was in. Brian Albert Jr. didn't leave. Did not see John O'Keefe's dead body on the front lawn despite less than 2 inches of snow falling. So there's this test. It's like the inattention blindness. And if you can find that video on YouTube, I think it's like 2 minutes long, you should watch it and do the test. And I already know the answer, so I've never been able to do it. But inattention blindness, watch it. I think it's like people playing basketball and you have to count how many passes they make or something. And it will teach you about inattention blindness. And I think if they keep pushing this, Hank could use it in the trial. But basically, the concept is simple. It's your peripheral. It's your attention is focused elsewhere. You don't notice certain things. And so, especially as snow is coming down, even if it's not a lot of snow, you have a lot of things in your peripheral. Snow coming at your windshield, like you are focused. So I think it's very easy to explain why people would not see that. Oh my God, the pool. The pool was filled up a week after with no explanation. So obviously it's because Chloe's in there and John's other shoe. Like, I don't know. Turtle Boy is whacked. How's Long to Dying Cold? Despite telling police that she believed John O'Keefe had got blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We know this is bullshit. Okay, now we're going to talk about it again. Jen McCabe Googled How Long to Dying Cold at 6:24 with the exact spelling mistake she made 4 hours prior. I mean, that's the thing. You're not going to make the same spelling mistake twice, even if you try. The searches match. The only thing that in forensic data forensics, they only look at the wall files to see if there's anything there that does not exist in like the regular database, because that would tell you something was searched. So if she had Googled one of her 623 searches, then the image of it would have been left in the wall file. And that's what they look into it for. They do not look at the wall file for timestamps. So it's just ridiculous. So How Long's the Dying Cold? And then we're going to talk about what? She deleted all of her calls. So this is another big lie. Her calls were not deleted. They were in the wall file. They were in when your calls aren't recent anymore, they go to another section. So he's talking about wall file still. And so like these are the calls that were recovered because they were no longer in your recent calls. Google searches, text, who knows? This one, I doubt, but I don't think she called them 6 times. I think that if they have another expert look, they're going to find that it was maybe once or twice. I think that Rick Greene just cannot read any of this data and just sees that there's like 4 lines or 6 lines and says, oh, 6 calls, because that's what's good for the case. And, you know, pinning her to the 12:45 a.m. has always been ridiculous. Eyewitnesses are not running around with a clipboard and writing down what they're doing every second, especially a night of drinking. They are, you know, you're lucky if they know what happened within the hour. So that's always been bullshit. So it doesn't matter what exactly she said or when she called or what she did. I mean, I could see her, if she called them at 12:40 a.m., probably because the car was gone, and then at 12:45 a.m. says hello and then called again. Like, I don't think that's an abnormal response if you were expecting him to come over and you saw the car out front. So the Commonwealth claims that Jen McCabe never Googled How Long to Dying Cold at 2:27 a.m., but then filed a motion to cancel an evidentiary hearing to cross-examine Richard Greene, who claims that she may have deleted the search and other incriminating call text. I mean, who knows why they cancel that. But it's certainly not because Rick Greene is just such an intimidating expert witness with so much knowledge. I mean, that's for damn sure. Trooper Greene's extraction report intentionally left out McCabe's incriminating Google searches and other information that inculpates her. So that's not true. And that's what the feds proved. When the feds searched in the two different softwares, they went to see was the state hiding exculpatory information. And that's what this test was. And the cult takes it as, oh, they confirmed that the search happened at 2:27 a.m. No, they weren't even looking at that. They were looking at whether the state had this information available and did not provide it. And the feds proved that they did not. The two different versions of software get two different results. And now all versions of the software do not show that timestamp associated with the wall file. So the Commonwealth's only explanation for McCabe's 2:27 a.m. Google search was that it never happened because she had another browser open in Safari. Oh my God. It happened. It happened at 6:23 when Karen was asking multiple people how long it takes to die in the cold. So this one, I remember the Beatties were on the witness list. So Colin Albert called Tom Beatty's daughter at 12:33 a.m. to ask her for a ride home from 34 Fairview. I think we know he was already home, and I don't know how far away she lives, but at 12:33 a.m., he was looking for a booty call. I mean, and I heard about that girl. Jen McCabe called Tom Beatty 3 times between 5:30 and 6 a.m. despite having no reason to, since Beatty was never at 34 Fairview and have no idea about John O'Keefe's whereabouts. This is not suspicious either. Jen McCabe knows that he didn't come in the house, so she's trying to piece it together. She saw Karen outside, and Karen saying, I left him at the waterfall. So, I mean, the logical thing is, did he have another friend that lives nearby that he could have called? So this is not suspicious. The only evidence tying Karen to the crime scene are pieces of her taillight that were found by the CERT team 12 hours after discovering John O'Keefe's body, but there is ring camera footage showing her taillight breaking after backing into John's car at 5 a.m. Yeah, that ring camera footage, even our own experts say, no, it definitely didn't break there. And it doesn't explain the dent on her tailgate, so it's bullshit. I don't think anyone believes that. I mean, the cult believes it, but I don't think any normal human being believes that. So no taillight evidence. They did not have shovels. They were not digging to the ground. They used a snowblower, but they didn't even know what they were looking for either. They saw the blood in the glass, and that's what they focused on retrieving. 12 hours later, state police, under the direction of Michael Proctor, found more taillight fragments, a shoe and hat that were not seen by Canton police 12 hours earlier, despite more than a foot of snow having fallen at the time. Yes, they arrived with shovels, as we can see in this photograph, and they, like, dig. They put it into a grid, dig, right down to the ground. You know, recovered what they could, and then moved to the next section. It was a very orderly reconnaissance mission, and they found, you know, a lot of what they were looking for. All right, so this picture, I don't think these were ever Jen McCabe's daughters. Like, it's just so bizarre. So what is this one? Alarm? Oh, so Proctor putting the wrong time at 5, giving him. I don't having towed the car at 5:30 p.m. So I guess, but 5:30 p.m. would be like when it was in the Sally port. So, I mean, I don't think this is. We know that like it was in the Sally port around 5:30, 5:45, and they're already finding pieces. So, no pieces could have been planted, and you know, writing the wrong time of when the tow truck. I mean, it's like, do you consider it taking possession of her vehicle when the tow company takes it, or when the Canton PD has it in the Sally port? I would say the latter, because if anything happens while it's on the tow truck, it is their responsibility still, right? So if it fell off the back of the tow truck, it's Canton PD or the Mass State Police aren't responsible because it's still in the possession of the tow truck. Dighton police records show that Proctor called for a tow from Karen Reed's parents' house at 2:30 p.m. despite the fact that he had not yet seen her broken taillight, and despite his claims that he did not arrive there until past 4:30 p.m. Yeah, I mean, she was at the scene saying, I had my head on. She showed multiple people the taillight. Why does he need to see it? Yeah, there's a car involved. Weird. I don't know if they already had tested her blood at that point either. Who knows? Or if they would have gotten the results back already. They probably did. I don't know. I don't know what the timeline was when they got that information. He misspelled the names of 5 witnesses. That's the normal way to spell Sarah. I don't know what the right way is to spell any of these. Emily Fabiano, I mean, that's how I would spell it. Catherine Duty. That's not a normal way to spell Catherine. That's the only one that I think is a little suspicious. Oh, that is the right way, though. Oh, he just has an E in the end. An I-E. I mean, that's the only one that's a little weird. I don't even know who that is. Who is Catherine Duty? Someone that was there like way before. Despite material witnesses who drove past and were just feet away from John O'Keefe's body, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson were never questioned by Proctor until more than a year later. Okay. That doesn't even look like Brian Albert. How long ago was this? Oh, that's Brian Albert, right? Damn. Police Chief Ken Berkowitz magically found taillight fragments from a moving vehicle on February 4th outside of 34th Fairview a week after Reed allegedly struck O'Keefe with a car. He contacted a reporter and told them to remove a tweet with factual information about John O'Keefe's body found on Brian Albert's lawn, a pillar of the community. I don't think that's a big deal. So, like, people knew that John O'Keefe died on that lawn. There was tons of snow. And so people probably were driving by and looking at it. Like, cops were driving by and looking at it. You know, Canton doesn't have a lot of murders. So there was some, it was a big case for the town. And it's all the stuff with, like, Jen McCabe talking to this one and that one. That's what happens in a small town when there's a murder, when there's, chaos. Everyone is going to gossip about it. And that's all it was. And they try to make the gossip into, like, a conspiracy. It's so insane. Despite a night of drinking, Jen McCabe's Apple Health data shows her moving around her house until 4:53 a.m. when she finally received a call from Karen Reed. So this is a blatant lie. If you look at her data, like in this little excerpt here, it says she's pacing around at 2:32 a.m. She took 22 steps. So she got into bed at she took 22 steps and went to bed at 2:32 a.m. At 3:50, she took 24 steps. So she went to the bathroom and then she went back to bed. So she went to the bathroom one time after a night of drinking. That's what this shows. And then she took 24 steps when Karen was calling her screaming. Like, this is so blatantly misleading. I mean, she went to the bathroom one time. That's what this shows. That's unbelievable. Ryan Nagel. Oh, I'm so sick of Ryan Nagel. I'm sick of hearing about him. Because it's like, all right, are they all in on it or are they not? Because Ryan Nagel, does that mean he's the only one that's not in on it? Like, because everyone in this car, nobody said that John got out of the car. Nobody in the house said that John went in the house. So the whole Ryan Nagel thing where they're picking this one piece out where as they drove by, he only saw Karen in the car. But that's also, inattention blindness. You're paying attention. You're like, oh, are these young kids? Are these people that I know? He sees like an old hag in the front seat, doesn't care who else is in the car. And that's probably what happened. I mean, he was probably looking to see if it was some of his friends or someone he knew. but he sees this old angry woman and he's like, oh, I don't give a shit. And we know what happened after that. So then both Jen and Matt McCabe claim that they saw Karen Reed drive south on Fairview Road, which means that she never did a 3-point turn. We know Karen is the one that lied about doing the 3-point turn. So in the beginning, she said she did a 3-point turn left immediately. She didn't say that she was sitting there waiting. She just said, dropped them off, left. They know she didn't do a 3-point turn because she didn't go by the temple again. She would have had to have gone that way. She went a different way. And then she's the one that said it. So it came out later that once she got the phone data, then it became, oh, I had to sit and wait because she kind of knew what his GPS showed. Like her story just changed with the evidence. And if you're telling the truth, that's not what happens. The state's theory can change with the evidence because they don't know what happened. The defense always has, you know, the defense, the one thing that the defense has that's like a big opportunity compared to what the state has is they have the defendant. They have someone that knows exactly what they did and what happened. And the prosecution always has to kind of piece together with whatever evidence there is. And so on the cult side, they're always like, oh, the prosecution's changing their theory. They're changing their theory. Yes, that's what you do when you have new evidence. If you're innocent, you don't change your defense with new evidence because you're innocent, right? Unless you're not innocent. After a night of drinking, witness Brian Higgins elected to clock into work at 1:30 a.m. at the Canada Police Department in order to have an alibi. And so this video is just going to show that he clocked in at 1:30 a.m. So is this just proving that he was telling the truth? Okay. 2 minutes of the Canton Library footage are missing from the exact time Karen Reed would have driven by, 12:37 and 12:39, and the Commonwealth has no explanation for why that is. Well, we know she connected to Wi-Fi at 12:36. We also know that she was on the tower data. I don't think she hit the tower that's in Canton Center. She hit the one that's like closer to the highway. So I don't even think she went this way. And they knew this all along. They just knew it was something that they could spread, that they could, you know, push out, claim there's a conspiracy. Jen McCabe claims that she saw Karen Reed leave at 12:45. Okay, again, eyewitnesses do not know times. It's an estimation, and I mean, 12:45 is pretty good, which could easily be disproven with camera footage from the hundreds of homes Reed would have passed by on her way home, as well as the Canton MBTA station. But the police made no attempt to obtain any of this camera footage. I mean, we learned in the trial that they did go to like whoever, I forget what his name was, but he was like an old man. He was like the keeper of the footage that had all of the town's files or whatever, and that's where they got the library footage. That's where they got the footage from the park. I don't know. There was a few different videos. Most people do not have their Ring cameras facing the road. They have it facing their front door to see who's at the front door. They don't buy Ring cameras to position them across their lawn to spy on their neighbors, despite what Turtle Boy likes to tell his cult. So, yes, if there was Ring camera footage, great. But during a blizzard, you're probably not going to get much. It's very low quality video. And if it's motion activated, the motion activation doesn't work well when it's snowing because it's constant motion, so it's hard to recognize the motion. Ring camera footage from John O'Keefe's home that would have shown Karen Reed's taillight condition after arriving back at home is mysteriously missing. The defense has requested it, but the Commonwealth has no explanation for where it is. Well, Karen deleted it. I mean, is the argument here that Proctor went and deleted all of the exculpatory footage and left the one video of her when she's bumping John O'Keefe's car? Like, it is the stupidest thing I have ever heard. Yes, Proctor unframed her. and left the one video that she could use. Arias and Amber Heard, and Blake Lively. Blake Lively, that whole thing is it's shocking. Like I don't even know what to make of it. Like that's horrible to do to somebody. From what it looks like, what it is that I don't know what her motive was, but my God, it's a horrible thing to do to somebody. And she could get away with it. She almost, if he didn't have the resources he has, she would have gotten away with it. So John O'Keefe's brother, so this I think is a lie because John O'Keefe's brother described his body as looking like he went 5 rounds with Mike Tyson. Brian Alvarez, a known fighter, blah, blah, blah. So in one of the last hearings before the trial, there was when they were trying to get it thrown out, they're always trying to get this thrown out. They've tried it 1,000 times. So they were saying that Paul O'Keefe said he looks like he got hit by a car. And that was testified in front of the grand jury. And they said it was it influenced them or something because it was like being confused for an expert opinion. And like, I think the judge was like, I don't think the jury thought that Paul O'Keefe's interpretation was an expert opinion. But that was one of the complaints that they had. So it does not sound like he said this. It sounds like he said he looks like he got hit by a car because that's what was in the filing. That's what they try to get the case thrown out about. So this was a lie. Colin Albert didn't like John O'Keefe, made several videos, threatened to beat up or kill people. Oh my God, and had scars on his knuckle 4 weeks later. Oh my God, he just wants to kill everyone. Like, obviously, my God. How can you not realize this? Look at those knuckles. 4 weeks later, like, he must have cancer. My God. Brian Albert, a trained first responder, never came outside after Jim McCabe called his wife at 6:07 and 6:08, alerting them that a dead Boston cop was found on his front lawn. McCabe then deleted those phone calls and no explanation for why she did that. So anyone with common sense can kind of look at these deleted yes, all in a row. Those are calls that are no longer in your recent calls. And so the rest are still sitting in your recent calls. These are where the old calls go to die. So they're still in the phone. You can still retrieve them, but they are just not, they're just in a different location. And the 6:07, 6:08 calls were not answered. Karen Reed's calls to John O'Keefe when he was dying in the cold, when she called up 50 times, they all say answered. So do we think that John O'Keefe was answering her calls all night? No. It reads answered when it goes to voicemail. Not answered means you hang up before you go to voicemail. Rejected means declined. Missed, I don't know what missed means. Yeah, I wonder what the difference between missed and, yeah, whatever. But we know that John O'Keefe wasn't answering the 50 phone calls, so it's not a good barometer of what this means. Despite the fact that a body was found in the property, 34 Fairview Road was never searched, and the area where John O'Keefe's body was discovered was not sectioned off and treated like a crime scene. Throughout the day, gawkers contaminated the crime scene before taillight fragments were later discovered. I mean, I feel like this is one thing where they should have had, I don't know how you block out, but they should have had something there. They should have had tape up. They said it was blowing around. I mean, I think that's in this like conspiracy, the parts that are true are not true, but like the parts that I think are being drug into the conspiracy are like, yes, they didn't want the whole town to be like gossiping about them having a body on their front lawn. They didn't want, I don't know. I think that like they probably try to distance themselves from them because they didn't want the rumors. And like That's the extent of it. That is the extent of it. Because even if they had nothing to do with it, it makes it look like you had some crazy party where drunks are getting killed outside your house. Even if it was from a car accident, it still looks bad. It still looks like you're hosting nutballs, bringing them to your house, and letting them kill people over there. So regardless of, and I think that's all it is. John O'Keefe's phone moved up and down flights of stairs inside 34 Fairview Road from 12:21 to 12:24. Well, the GPS shows that he was not there yet. So, and even in Richard Greene's original affidavit, it clearly says he didn't get there till 12:24. So this is another lie. Okay, they canceled the motion. Yeah, so before he got there. After being named a suspect by Karen Reed's attorneys, Brian Albert proceeded to sell his house, which has been in the family for hundreds of years. Got rid of his 6-year-old family German Shepherd and had his basement floor replaced. I'm sure that's why. So we know from the trial that they already were talking to a real estate agent. I don't know if the basement floor was replaced. If it was, I mean, it was probably something the real estate agent told him to do. The German Shepherd, we know that the dog bit someone, and that's why they rehomed the dog. So, I mean, this is not, it's just so obvious. John O'Keefe's phone was discovered underneath his body, indicating that it had been planted there. The phone stopped moving at 12:31 a.m. after ascending and descending stairs minutes earlier, then began moving again after police found his body. So it began moving again, probably when whoever it was picked it up. I think the ascending and descending stairs were probably, it was under his body as they were giving him CPR, and it was registering as steps. I mean, I don't think this is suspicious at all, because he was moving around. Like, my steps are not consistent, and I have a watch, so a phone is even less reliable. But I have a watch, and I go the same route with my dog almost every day, and sometimes it doesn't even know that I'm walking. I don't know. And sometimes it's like, you did a mile, and I know it's not a mile. So it's like, it's not exact, even with the watch. So what's next? So this is the calls. They went upstairs. I can't believe he has this in here. John O'Keefe had a lateral gash in the back of his head, which supposedly was caused by a car going 5 to 10 miles per hour in reverse after landing on snowy grass. So we don't know. I mean, the ground could have been frozen. We don't know if he hit the curb. We don't know if the spoiler hit his head. There's a million different scenarios. I'm going to try to skip by this so I don't get in trouble. And then finally, John O'Keefe's right arm was covered in lacerations, and the medical examiner who examined his body 4 days after he died was told ahead of time that he was struck by a car. The medical examiner, I've seen a lot of medical examiners, and I think they're always difficult. There's this case in Tampa that's happening. It's supposed to start next week, the dog park murder. So the dog park murder, it was these two men. One was like 65, one was like in his 50s. They went to this dog park all the time. They all had a bunch of mutual friends. They didn't like each other. One was like hardcore right-wing, one was gay. And I guess he was calling them slurs and stuff all the time. The gay guy made a message the day before. I was like, the cops told me to like record this, and he put it on social media that the guy's like threatening him and stuff. And the next day he ended up dead. And it was in the dog park, and the other guy said he attacked him and it was self-defense. And so we have all the self-defense people that are like, self-defense, you know, stand your ground state. You can do whatever you want if someone looks in the wrong direction. So the guy, it took a month before the guy was arrested. But it was all the mutual friends that they had that were at the park that were like, there's no way in hell that he attacked him. Like, there's no way in hell, like, the gay guy, he's very, like, laid back. He's not aggressive. I don't believe his story at all. And so in that case, the medical examiner's, was in the last hearing because the last hearing was about whether he could say he stood his ground or not. And the judge ruled that he could not. And so he's going to trial. But the medical examiner, the guy's story was that the other man attacked him and that he fired his gun. And so the medical examiner, like, the gun had to have come down from up above. And so, like, the attorney's asking her, well, how if he's on top of you, can you get the gun to point down and go through his whole body and come out, like, his butt area? And she just kept saying it would be very difficult. Like, it's impossible. Like, it was so frustrating. But, like, that's how medical examiners are. They're the worst. Like, they will not commit to anything. And so, I don't know. That trial's going to be interesting. But we'll see. Like, all of their friends, basically, were getting texts from them. And there's even jail calls of this guy calling him, like, the F slur after he was in jail. So it's like being charged as a hate crime, I guess. And I don't know. Like, at this point, that's all the information I really have. Is that they had beef for a long time, and most people think that it was provoked, and, like, he provoked him into a fight, knowing that he was going to pull out a gun and kill him. And I don't know. I could be a juror for that, so I don't have an opinion about it. I doubt that they would pick me, but it is local to me, so I could be a juror. And I think jury selection starts next February 2nd. So, and that's why, getting back to this medical examiner, who also would not commit to anything. So even if they told her that he was struck by a car, she didn't write anything like that, so it doesn't matter. It is in Hillsborough. It's in Tampa. Court TV has been covering it a little bit here and there. I mean, the guy has, like, white. He looks exactly like you expect him to look. And I don't know. Florida has a very bad track record of holding people responsible. So, I mean, there has to be, like, a good amount of evidence in order for the jury to find him guilty. Oh, wow. Oh, someone might be on the jury. It's a big one for Tampa. I mean, it's going to be pretty disturbing. I don't know. I don't know all the facts of the case, but the fact that all of their mutual friends were the ones that pushed the police to arrest him and were saying, I guess, like, before it happened, one of the mutual friends were like, why are you, like, blocking his path and standing in front of him like that? What do you expect to happen? And the guy just, like, kind of smirked. So, like, to me, I'm like, that sounds like premeditated to me. He was only charged with second degree. So, but I'm like, if he really was trying to get to that point, knowing that he was having the gun ready, like, I don't know. He's old enough, though, that it doesn't even matter if it's second or first degree. If he's guilty, he's going to be in there for life. Like, he's like 65 or something. It should be a good one. It should be a good one. It should be easy. There's not going to be. It should be a short one, like the Apple River stabbing. That's what I think this should be similar to. That one had a lot more witnesses. This one has no witnesses. So, but the Apple River stabbing was a very interesting trial because of everything was caught on video and not a single eyewitness actually knew what the hell. Like, everyone was wrong. And so it just goes to show, like, what, even when eyewitnesses know that the event was recorded, they still all got it wrong. They see focus on different pieces, and it's really interesting. this is going to be a very easy trial for Karen Reed. Yeah, I think that's probably why she spent $5 million and why she's having all these fundraisers and getting all these YouTubers on board, because it's going to be so easy. Like, why not, right? Yeah, jury tampering, I think, is a huge thing, because we know that one of the turtle riders they were an alternate, and she almost was deliberating. And I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat them out unless they switch. I mean, I feel like it should have went to a different venue. It should have went down the Cape or something. I mean, there's going to be so much fallout. What is going on with Turtle Boy's trial? Because I know that they were trying to get into his phones. There's going to be, he records every single phone call he has. So when he was talking to Karen Reed, I guarantee he has recordings of that. He screenshots everything. So there's going to be some stuff, damning stuff in there that has to do with Karen Reed. So I just really want that to come out, because I think the truth needs to come out, the full truth. And right now they're limiting what they're trying not to taint the jury, but I don't know how you go with that, because the jury is so tainted already. And now it's like going on national shows. She went on Dateline 2020 and all that. And it's because most people don't pay that much attention, but like, and that's what I've realized, because a lot of these cases that I heard about when I was young, like the Menendez brothers and John Bonet, I didn't know. I didn't pay attention. So like, but whatever I kind of picked up from other people, that became my belief. And I think that's how most people are. If it's like a case that you're just hearing a little bit about, people talking about it, it just is going to become your belief, because most people aren't critically thinking about the facts and the evidence. And that's their goal. And that's what they did. I haven't gotten a jury summons in forever. I wonder if it's because I was arrested for a DUI one time. And I know like the Karen Reed people love to put that all over the place. So I should talk about that, just to get it all on the table, because I'm sick of hearing about it. So July 4th in 2010, maybe 2009, 10. I had not even lived in Florida for a year, and I was working at a restaurant. I like met friends out. I think I got out at like 1 a.m. I was working at a Brazilian steakhouse, and the Brazilian steakhouse, like, it's like one of those places where you pay like a flat fee, and I can't even remember what they're called. The meat cutter people come to your table and they slice off pieces of meat, and you just run around and you eat a ton of meat. So on the 4th of July, it was like a big event. And so I got out late. And so I met friends, Ybor City and Tampa, and my car was parked on the street. And so when I was leaving, I think the bar was closed at 3. I was leaving my car there, but I needed to put it into the parking garage. So that's when it went down. And it wasn't because I was driving erratically or anything. There was just cops that saw me get into the car and pulled me over right away. So that's that. And I was traumatized from that situation. I had to like look at people that got their faces smashed in car accidents. Like they really, Florida takes it so seriously, and they like really traumatize you. And I don't know. I felt like at first I was like indignant and mad, because I was like, I just got screwed. I know so many people that drink and drive all the time, and like this is bullshit. But after seeing all this stuff, I was just like, whatever. I was thinking it was no big deal either. Like, I wasn't thinking as big of a deal as it was. So, but they reduced it. I only got for reckless driving, and it was, I don't know if it's still on my record or what. I don't think so. But I just had to go through all these things, and it was a lot. But that's all it is. I learned my lesson. I wasn't even drinking a lot then either. It was just the 4th of July. And I don't know. I don't really drink now. But it's still, I mean, it was still like a wake up call. It was still something that I kind of took for granted. I saw so many people doing it, like, and I just thought, I don't know. I just didn't think it was what it was. I mean, there wasn't Ubers back then, so it was common, like taxis, especially like if you grew up in New England, like you can't get a taxi anywhere. So and people used to drink, or even like the designated drivers would just drink lightly, but like it's bad. It's definitely bad, and I don't know. I just know back in the day, people used to do it all the time. But yeah, I'm not a 43-year-old that's pounded 9 vodkas and running people over. So it's very different. Yeah, I mean that's what that was, because I was arguing with them like I'm not even like on the street. I'm not driving. Like I was like pulling off the street, like down the street into like a parking garage, but they were like, even if, and I have done it before, they're like, even if you had your keys in the car or something, or even if you're near the car, you can get arrested. And there's been times when I have slept in my car, and you can get arrested for DUI for that. If you're like, you don't want to drive, and so you go and sleep in your car, you can get arrested for that. So no bueno, no bueno. And that's why there's Ubers now. And I was taking Ubers a lot, but like I don't like it anymore. It's kind of scary. I don't know. I don't like anything about calling up a random person and have them drive you in a car. I guess like the more expensive ones, like if you get the deluxe ones, like those ones kind of feel okay, but it's just creepy. Like there's some really like scary people sometimes. And Karen Sweat is made up of vodka. I mean, I feel like but she still seems like she's drinking. I was thinking that, her and John had like a heavy drinking pattern, and which is terrible. I mean, sometimes when you get into certain relationships, usually when you meet someone out drinking at a bar, you end up in that heavy drinking pattern, and those relationships are always not good unless you both stop drinking. But any kind of heavy drinking relationship is always super toxic, in my opinion. And so I would think that maybe Karen learned her lesson, but she's still out drinking all the time. It seems like she's driving around with Alan Jackson with Tito's in the cup holder, or it was like wine or something. Yeah, they're definitely toxic, and it's weird because I feel like if I dated someone that's like sober, I just feel like that's weird because I don't want to like not drink at all. But then I'm like, maybe I should be. I basically am, but I don't like that label. Like I feel like if I still went out somewhere, I would want to have a couple drinks. But I'm like, maybe I should just be sober, because it is hard to toe the line, because most people end up wanting to drink a lot. So I mean, I definitely don't want to go. That's like the last thing I want to do. I'm already tired. Like I could barely function if I'm drinking. Yep, keys in the car, you are getting screwed. So that's the thing. And it's very similar to the other case that happened in Winona. I think it's called Winona. It's where she hit someone. There's a lot of cases like this, and it's alcohol is always involved. It's a toxic relationship. They're fighting, and it's usually I don't know if there's times when there's guys that do this, but a lot of times it's women that whatever hits them with the car, stabs them, something, and then they let them die. And then the next morning when they sober up, they pretend like it was an accident. They pretend someone else came in hot. They pretend something happened. It's weird. And I mean, those are the people that really shouldn't drink. Like, if you think about it, like the last time I drank heavy, I was like, oh my God, I went to the dark side. Like the next day, I just felt like, ugh, just like your thinking patterns and everything. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't like it. But it is like you're opening up doors to darkness. Sudden unintended acceleration, common Lexus and Toyota. All right, I don't know if I have that much more to say. I'm trying to think of what other things that I'm following right now. So the Menendez brothers, I have a video coming out. My position on this has changed a lot, I think. I think on most cases, my position changes a lot with the more that I learn and the more that I get into it. I mean, Karen Reed, I thought it was a conspiracy at first. But I mean, I think that's how people should be. Like when more evidence and more information comes, you should take that in and, give it the weight that it deserves. What was the other thing? So Karen Reed, we know all about that. The dog park murder, and the Menendez brothers. The Menendez brothers are March 20th and 21st. I mean, they could get out. It's a possibility, which would be crazy. I mean, what a change. I don't know. It would be really interesting because no one's really seen them since that last interview with Barbara Walters in 1996, besides their family. I believe the Richard Greene, I believe there's a few different things happening on Friday. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, thank you for the super sticker. Kitty's 1993. Oh, thank you. Your latex spouse. Latex spouse. Yeah, I'm wondering what, I don't know. I'll be paying attention though, I'm sure. And I'll be listening to the tweets and we'll see. I really think that the Richard Greene thing though, his expertise is basically, I can't believe he's doubling down on it. This whole, from what I read of this, I'm going to finish reading it, but it's all so dramatic. Who wrote this? Who did write this? It's dramatic, so I feel like, is the last page? No. Alessi wrote this. Oh, they all signed it, so actually I don't know who wrote it. I mean, I think that they're going to allow Richard Greene to testify, I'm sure. I think it's just Hank Brennan's strategy. So this is a free Karen Reed is innocent thing on Twitter, and this is one of the places I usually just post stuff from Twitter. But they're always sharing this stuff. This is one of the places. But I'm going to read it and see if there's anything good in there. See if there's anything conflicting. To see if there's, because there's always like conflicting stuff. There's always like nuggets of information where you're like, oh, they're changing what this means. Like they're talking about Miss Hyde. Like, give me a break. Nobody believes him. But I mean, I think that the result is going to be he can testify. I just don't think it matters. I don't think any jury believed him last time. I think, you know, even with Lally did a good job cross-examining people. I mean, I think Brennan is going to destroy him. So it's going to be interesting. That's for damn sure. But thanks, guys, for joining, and we will see what happens next in all this drama. And I don't know. But until next time, take care of yourself and each other.